Mr. Speaker, I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, for making another move to promote gender equality by promoting the first female minister in the history of this country to the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. I am proud to stand here in defense of yet another bold, people-centered budget. And of course, I cannot stand here without commending my colleague, the Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh, Minister of Finance and now Public Service as well. Congratulations to you too, sir, and your team for once again presenting such an incredible financial plan, one that supports and maintains our standing as the world's fastest growing economy. It is truly a roadmap to prosperity, and it comes as absolutely no surprise to most Guyanese that members of the APNU AFC are incapable of understanding or comprehending what a budget like this means and how much it will propel this nation and impact the lives of all Guyanese in the most meaningful way. From the presentations that preceded me earlier today as well as yesterday, it is clear that the honorable members did not take the time to even read, much less assess these allocations and the benefits it will bring to our people. But even before I get into the allocations and the specific sectors, I want to refer to certain comments and statements that were made by several members of the opposition in their own speech. And I will start with the Honorable Mahipal. The Honorable Mahipal, in true fashion and true like nature, came to the podium not to make a meaningful contribution to this country in relation to the budget, but to personally attack, as he always does, members of the government on this side of the House. However, I would like to say to the honorable member that I am most privileged and honored to be working with the Honorable Anand Prasad in the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. I would also like to say, in the not so distant past, it was this honorable member who continuously come in this house and talk about friends, families, and cronies, and favorites, and whatever else you want to call it, whatever other F you want to call it, whatever else you want to call it, you stood there and you made those statements. But not so, in a not so distant past, the honorable member, Mr. Mahipal, was placed on leave for an internal audit to be done for funds that were taken without authorization from the University of Guyana, the UGSS funds. And several articles in the newspapers carried that he admitted to that. This is a member, and I can see why now the opposition would take the Honorable Mahipal and place him on the PAC, because he would know what to look for on the PAC, because he's been there, done that. But that's not all. That's not all. The honorable member, and I want to tell this honorable house for the first time probably, and the nation for the first time probably. So after 5 months of holding up this entire country, digging their fingernails into the threads of power, trying to hold on while the people suffer out there, His Excellency was sworn in on the 2nd of August 2020. And lo and behold, Mr. Speaker, the ministers were not yet sworn in to government. So the ministers of housing were not sworn in yet in government. The administration was still being controlled by the previous government. And on that morning of the 3rd of August, 2020, the Honorable Mahipal, early that morning,
Mr. Speaker,
hurriedly was given an allocation letter
Honorable Minister,
for a house lot.
I have the Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, rising.
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand on the point of clarification, standing order 41. With regards to the comments.
On a point of clarification.
Yes.
I have
Point of order, sir.
Yes.
Sorry.
Point of order, clarification. The second section would be clarification, right? I have to get the honorable person on the floor to yield to you. So I have to ask her if she will yield to you on this point of clarification.
Mr. Speaker, that's a rhetorical question for me. Obviously not. Obviously not.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, you'll have to take your seat.
So let's
Honorable
get
Minister,
this
go
into
ahead.
perspective. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let's get this into perspective. So you're holding on to power, but as soon as His Excellency was sworn in, realizing that you were one of the friends, families, and cronies that had to benefit from the previous administration, you ran in there on the 3rd of August and was allocated a letter, while there were 72,000 ordinary Guyanese applications languishing in the housing ministry on that date. And that is for the record.
Comrade Speaker.
Honorable
Comrade Speaker,
Chief Whip, your opposition.
I stand on standing order 23. 4. The honourable member is imputing improper motive on the part of the honourable member.
I don't see this as imputing. She's establishing a fact.
It is a fact. It is a fact.
Unless
she's given the
honourable member, Mr. Mahipal, says I never did that, I had never had the letter,
but it wasn't,
then I'll ask her to produce the letter.
It wasn't improper, sir. It was not improper.
I don't think
it was
you
not
can say
illegal.
that.
Yeah. So we have a difference of opinion. You share the view that's improper. I share the view that this is a statement of fact that the minister is making, and I'll ask her to produce that document.
Comrade Speaker.
Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, I'll give you.
Sir, I believe it's imputing on the basis that I follow the process. So I want you to guide me.
I'm guiding you. I'm guiding you. You are just. I just refer you to the statement I made with respect to the Honorable Chief Whip for the opposition. Honorable Minister, you will get back your time.
Thank you very much, sir. So I believe when the honorable member comes here and beats his chest and stands up in a pseudo-righteous manner and wants to preach to this house, this honorable house, as to his honorable nature, he was probably the friends, families, and cronies that he was talking about that benefited. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Mahipal, the honorable member, was not the only one to benefit from a house lot in a very short space of time, while there still had 72,000 applications sitting in the Ministry of Housing because of the lack of a proper structure and strategy for a housing drive in this country. The honorable member who stood here and also accused the government, the previous speaker, the honorable member, Ms. Tabitha Sarabo Hali, who is now walking out of the dome, spoke earlier about if she didn't do this and she took a scholarship and whatever not. Also one of those persons to benefit within a month of applying for a house lot. Within 1 month of applying for a house lot. And they come to this honorable house and push their hands as if they're going to beat you because you want to state a fact. But Mr. Speaker, given the way that the Guyanese people stood up after the March 2nd, 2020 elections against the rigors of this country. I know Guyanese are resilient and they
Mr.
will not
Speaker.
take the nonsense that they have taken
Mr.
before.
Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, Ms.
Thank you very much,
Ferguson.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise and stand in order for to 1.3 content of speeches. 41.3 states, it shall be out of order to attempt to reconsider any specific question. No, sorry, 41, 41, 2, sir. Sorry, 41, 2. This is what it is saying. Reference shall not be made to any matter which is sub judice in such a way as might, in the opinion of the chair, prejudice the interests of parties thereto. Mr. Speaker, throughout this debate, I've been hearing honorable members.
You are dealing with a particular issue, a matter that is sub judice, and you're raising on a point of order.
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask which matter that is sub judice that the honorable minister just mentioned.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, it has to do with any matter concerning the rigging of elections.
Apparently, we may have been sitting in two different chambers. I have again to rule you. I don't want to use the word, but please, I ask that you give way to the honorable minister. And we've been going good since a discussion with the two chief whips. Thank you. Honorable Minister, please. Honorable member, honorable minister in the Ministry of Housing. Minister, you're going to get back all of your time. If we have to wait till tomorrow morning, you'll get back your time. Honorable members, I just want to say that at the lunch break, the two whips and I had a good, frank discussion about the behavior in the House and the unparliamentary words. And it was going good for the first hour after. Now we're hearing all the words that we're not supposed to use, like lies. The honorable member, Mr. Duncan, had to be cautioned over and over again by his own chief whip. So please allow our good minister to make her presentation as previous speakers had just after the lunch. Honorable Minister, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'll move on now to the honorable member's presentation, where he stated that there is very little or nothing in the budget for human capital development. And for the purposes of understanding what human capital development is, because it is always such a challenge with comprehension over there, human capital development is akin to human resource development, which comes under the Ministry of Public Service. And a lovely sum is always placed in there from 2020 to 2024 to accommodate that, as well as the Ministry of Education, for our children to be able to move from nursery to primary to secondary to tertiary. The honorable member, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, this morning stated, and I don't know if it was an oversight or it was a lack of sight or it was a lack of paying attention or it was just a mistake, but he said that a meager sum of $121 billion is placed in the budget for wages, pensions, and public assistance. But I don't think, and I said this before, The honorable members are clearly not looking at this budget. They're clearly not taking the time to assess the allocations or understand what they're there for. $121 billion is for the wages bill alone. $49 billion is there for public assistance and pension, which is targeted towards the vulnerable, making this budget a people-centered budget, something you never had from 2015 to 2020, so you cannot understand the concept. Then we had the honorable member, Mr. Sherwin Holder, who speaks or gives himself the responsibility to speak on behalf of the citizens of Region 2. And he came here and he talked about how no roads are being done and roads placed in the budget for 4 years and now they're being done. But let me give, for the benefit of the House to understand and the people of this nation to understand, let me give the statistics of the community roads that were done in Region number 2 over the years. From 2020 to 2023, 225 roads, community roads were done under this government. But with those who have a PhD for how to fail, Minister of Finance and Minister of Public Works, I want you to make a guess as to how much roads were done from 2015 to 2019 in Region number 2. 25 community roads, a mere fraction of what has been done by this government in 3 years in office in Region number 2. So that tells you where your intentions were in relation to this country and who exactly you wanted to exclude in this country. 25 road in 5 years. 225 under this government in 3 years. And comes and stands here as if they are telling the truth to this nation.
Honorable Minister, I think that is imputing.
Okay.
Please.
And they come here to this honorable house and spew untruths to the nation. No. Mr. Speaker, I will turn my attention now to the Ministry of Public Service, and a whole lot of nothing was said just now in the previous presentation, because the honorable member, Ms. Tabitha Sarabo Hali, sat in that office, and you know, every year I pick up the APNU 2015 manifesto to look through and see, you know, what was done and so on. And as I get to page 2, I have to put it down laughing because it's so much comic relief, but it's good, it's great, it's great, it's great, and it's the only thing we have seen. We haven't seen the plan or anything else. It was the only thing. And it said professionalizing the public service in their term. It also said that we will, in our first year, give 20% salary increases to the law enforcement agencies. Now, the Minister of Finance, being in that office, is aware of the breakdown of the salary increases given from 2015 to 2019. And it was never an across-the-board salary increase. So this is what they did. They talk about caring about public servants, Mr. Speaker. This government has consistently given a salary increase across the board to all public servants. This year, giving benefits to over 54,000 public servants across the board. But in 2015 and the successive years up to 2019, they give salary increases in different percentages. So the persons who are at the managerial level and tasked with leading the agencies were stifled. So that's where you had your feet on the necks of the public servants, because those were the people who had to actually carry out the functions of the public service to make it professional and make it efficient. And you did not do that. In addition to that, what you also did was to tax the very same money that you claim that you give them, this huge salary increase, which we're yet to question because you know your maths. But You also, in addition to that, taxed everything. So you gave with one hand and snatched with the other. And on top of that, there was never a holistic plan for the welfare of public servants. All you come here and talk about is salary increases, salary increases. You have done nothing for the public service. The honorable member said, you know what, she came here and she said last year, she said in her presentation, you know what, I got a scholarship. Under the PPP, I would have never gotten a scholarship. So I took a scholarship because why? I would have never gotten one. I'm proud to say I got a scholarship. But you know what, the Guyanese people who were not put before her, right, as the ordinary Guyanese man, they're not proud of that fact. They are not proud of that fact. What is more is that the honorable member talks about her excelling in the Ministry of Public Service for some delusional reason. But when she went into that office, she immediately, the honorable member, fired 3 public servants. And the then Minister of State, Joe Harmon, said that it was unlawful, but he was not going to take any action against her. She had to reinstate.
Here, Minister, you.
I will lay over the article, please, sir. There's an article on it. I will lay it over. What is more is that they talk about how the PPPC has treated public servants. And this was the honorable member who transitioned from a public service job to a minister's job and then applied for salary in lieu of leave after the then Minister of State said, if you don't use it, you lose it. So basically, we were abolishing the salary in lieu of leave. When the Minister of Finance, when we got into office, took the honorable member, Roysdale Ford, to come and sue the government of Guyana and got the salary increase, the salary in lieu of leave, when other public servants did not and could not benefit under you. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, Ms. Halley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on Standing Order 4116. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is imputing improper motive because I'm not sure. Mr. Speaker, I am not sure if it is that I have a contract that says that I'm entitled to something and I do not get it, what is I'm supposed to do? So if it is that I have a contract that says that I'm entitled to something and I ask for it, then the contract says that I'm supposed to get it. If there is something different, but so she is suggesting that I was not entitled to something and I was trying to get it without being entitled to it, which is imputing, sir. I wouldn't go back to how she was imputing the fact that I have a government, I got a house lot, and I have no house lot from the government. But that's a whole different matter, sir.
Honorable Member, I thought I was hearing a different issue about priority before other people. But Honorable Minister, the Honorable Member saying she never got a house lot. If you could...
That's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you...
She got a house lot.
If you said she has a house lot, unless you can provide the proof,
Mr. Speaker,
I'll have to ask you to
provide evidence because unlike the other side, when we speak, we have evidence to back it up. I will support it. I will support it. Mr. Speaker,
so until you do that, please withdraw that.
I will withdraw that until then.
Thank you.
Well, again, as you come. Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, when other public servants were applying for salary in lieu of leave and they were denied because of the policy that was in place, the now government, the PPPC, after being taken to court for that, did pay the honorable member salary in lieu of leave, while other public servants are still, did not get theirs on the year. But let's turn to scholarships. Before I move to the scholarship issues, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to put on record that the Ministry of Public Service has gone strides from 2020 to now, we have relaunched what is called the Personnel Workshop, which was abolished under the previous administration, where personnel from different agencies would come together for 2 days and hash out how they can solve the bottlenecks in the public service to make it more efficient and professional. But that was abolished during the previous administration. But we brought it back to ensure that we would deliver on our manifesto promise too. Plus, Mr. Speaker, in the training division, and this is where I will use the statistics. Under the 5 years of the previous administration, 4,931 public servants were trained, as is mandated by the Public Service, to train and retrain and upskill public servants. In 3 years of the PPPC administration, we have trained in the training division 4,997 public servants in key areas. Now moving to scholarships. And I believe this is where we may have some problems, Mr. Speaker. This is where we may have some problems. Mr. Speaker, the overall budget for the Ministry of Public Service Mr. Speaker, the overall budget for the Ministry of Public Service in 2015 was $715,043,000. In 2016, it was $1,165,852. In 2017, this is the overall budget. Listen, and you will learn. 2017, it was $1,276,899. 2018, it was $1,654,307. 2019, it was $965,154,000. Listen to the point. Just for scholarships, on the line item 6302. 2020, $958,734,000. 2021, $2,596,319,000. 2022, $3,884,967,000. 2023, $3,870,917,000, amounting to over $10 billion expended by this government for human resource development, and again in 3 years, and again for the benefit of the Honorable Mahipal, human capital development in this country. That is what you call progress and not backwardness. We were able to grant 21,442 ordinary Guyanese. And I have heard so much negativity this year from the opposition members in relation to the GOAL project and the GOAL initiative. But I'm not certain that you know that 2 of your own members sitting over there found the GOAL program attractive and appealing enough that they are on the program. Sitting in this house, granted by this government. That is what you call inclusion. That is what you call non-communication and fractured behavior over there. Are they our friends, families, and cronies? You can be if you want to. You can be if you want to. There was so much talk about how the goal initiative is overriding the University of Guyana. We have always placed emphasis on the University of Guyana as our national university. In addition to the budgetary allocation separate and apart, last year for University of Guyana, the Ministry of Public Service under its public sector scholarship program granted $918 million in scholarships to University of Guyana, separate and apart from the allocation given. So when you come here, you gotta come standing on two very strong feet. Otherwise, do not come and mislead this nation. Do not come and mislead this nation.
You can't accuse the opposition or any other member of misleading. You have to withdraw that.
So, providing misinformation to the public. Now, there was so much talk as well about about the indigenous community being left behind. This government is the government with a track record of taking care of our first people, our indigenous people in this country. And the scholarships are just one aspect of that. And I want for your benefit to listen very carefully. Don't talk, just listen. Listen. In 2021, Region 1 for the Gold Scholarship, 238 persons. Region 1, 2022, 155 persons. 2023, 246 from Region 1. Region 2, 531, 540, and 885 in 2023. Region 3, 875, 2022, 1,399, 2023, 1,111. Region 4, then you have 5, 6, let's get to 7, 8, and 9, and then I'll tell you why. Region 7, 240 in 2021 on the Gold Initiative, 134 in 2022, 174, sorry, 284 in 2023. Region 8, 97 in 2021, 37 in 2022, 381 in 2023. Region 9, 230 in 2021, 134 in 2022, and 162 in 2023. Now, please ask the previous Minister of Public Service how much scholarships was granted to Region 8 and Region 9 in 2018 and 2019. Of course, I have the record. Zero. 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 And that's how much you love the people. You talk about how much salary increases again that you gave, and how many scholarships and whatever not, and what we're doing with the scholarship program. But instead, you gave yourself scholarship, which, by the way, you still have to complete. Honorable member, you have not 10,800 pounds or 400 pounds, and it has not been completed. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, Ms. Halley.
This honorable minister is imputing and inconsistently doing so. I have completed and I have sent in my certificate to the ministry. If she has not received it, that is not my problem. So she needs to withdraw that.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable member, minister, you heard what the honorable member said, that she has completed and submitted her certificates. So you have to withdraw that from me.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, now, the honorable member also spoke about previous ministers' children getting 4.0 and whatever not. But expended on those were $225,000 US on one person. One person amounting to approximately 45 million Guyana dollars. If you have a budget that is allocated to a ministry of 800 and something million dollars for the entire scholarship for the whole of Guyana, and you take out $45 million from that, that is a good chunk of money you're taking out for one person. On top of that, you want to accuse the Honorable Frank Anthony of his daughter being on a scholarship or a minister's daughter. But you know what? The daughter was a scholar. She was a Guyana scholar and deserving of that scholarship. Very deserving of that scholarship.
Mr. Speaker, I'm just stating I did not state the name of the minister nor who the individual was. I just said a member of this House. It is the current speaker on the floor that stated who the person was that I was speaking about. Please let that be known. I did not call the name.
Honorable Member Ms. Halley, I think the Honorable Minister is a lawyer and she can cite the principle in law where if you know the minister, you know he has a child on scholarship, it's easy to draw the conclusion. So, Honorable Minister, I would not uphold that objection. Go ahead.
Grateful, sir. Mr. Speaker, this year, the Ministry of Public Service will be getting over $6 billion, something it has never seen before, to ensure that we are able to develop our human resource capacity in this country to serve the public sector, as well as under the GOAL project to serve the national human capital development that is so
Honorable
necessary
Minister,
for the transformation.
you've given us a very lively contribution so far. You'll need 5 minutes to conclude it.
Come again.
Mr. Speaker, I was kind of surprised because I thought you were giving back my colleague all the time that's been held up by all these interventions and interruptions. I'm rather shocked.
I
believe
added
my colleague,
7 minutes onto the contribution.
in addition to the 5.
I added 7 minutes to the original. 4:52, she should have ended, and now, according to my time, it's 5 o'clock.
I would hope that you would have given her more with all the interruptions. But anyway, please allow my colleague to have 5 minutes more to conclude her excellent presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You have 5 minutes from now to conclude.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I said, the Ministry of Public Service will be allocated over $6 billion to ensure the efficient functioning of the public sector in terms of human capital development as well as if the turning of the wheels of government. And I am very certain that the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh, with his high standards of professionalism, will excel in that ministry over the next year. Turning my attention to the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development is crucial in promoting democracy in this country, and a word that I have heard the honorable opposition members repeat over and over in their speeches, although some of those honorable members would have participated fully from the 2nd of March 2020 to the 2nd of August 2020 in holding this, in trying to collapse our democracy and holding our people hostage and suffering an entire nation for 5 months, which I am certain they will never, ever forget. And I do not believe that members who would participate in something like that, and I will steal this line, take this line from the my honorable colleague, Minister Indar's speech before, does not deserve even to be in opposition, to be representing any portion of the Guyanese people. after you have so callously and so cruelly hold our country up in the air and put our entire country to shame globally. So, Mr. Speaker, in the allocations of over $103 billion spanning not only the Ministry of Local Government, but also the regions from Region 1 to 10, we will ensure that the local democratic organs, such as the NDCs and the municipalities, are properly allocated their subventions to ensure that democracy continues in the communities of this country. And the speaker who will come after me, I know, I will want to say certain things in relation to friends, families, and cronies too. But me being the representative for this government in the Mocha Arcadia community knows that the NDC in 2017 issued that member's husband contracts to develop the community, and that is also where friends, families, and cronies come in for the previous administration.
Comrade Speaker.
And I will provide the proof if I have to.
Is that a fact?
Honorable.
Comrade Speaker, standing order 41-6. The honorable member is imputing improper motive on the part of the member's husband.
I'm stating a fact.
Yeah, but
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I'll apply the same principle that we just saw. Withdraw that and let's move on.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. So in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, we are not leaving the hinterland communities out as well with the particular allocations given to the regions. And we plan to do so much in all of the regions to develop drainage, irrigation, and to ensure that the daily lives of our people is made easier and there is relief brought to the communities as we've been doing from 2020 to now. So I will happily come back next year and report to this honorable house just exactly how we were able to use the money allocated in the local government budget for the benefit of all Guyanese. In concluding, Mr. Speaker, I wish to reiterate my support for Budget 2024. It is comprehensive, again, people-centered and thoughtful. And although we have heard and will continue to hear over the upcoming days the new AFC or the opposition criticize the budget, I wish to caution Guyanese against falling for the untruths being spewed and to examine the contents of the budget. And I am most certain that they will all feel the impact. Not only hear the figure, but feel the impact of the programs and policies that will come from this budget. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, with that very lively presentation, it's a good time we cool off with a half an hour break.